I'm going to turn an owl. The story of this is the Nature Center here, their theme of the Nature Center, their mascot, let's say, is Hootie the Owl. And they have a volunteer appreciation dinner once a year, usually in November, December. And the director of the Nature Center, Callie, asked me if there was something the woodturners could do, maybe we could make little owl statues for volunteers. They have about 40 volunteers annually. So I said, well, yeah, I think something we could do, given that I've had now about a year to get ready for it, we could probably come up with 40 owls. And then I had to figure out how to make an owl. So I did a little searching on the internet, saw a bunch of different designs, and kind of combined some things and came up with this. And that is the first attempt to turn an owl on the lathe. So then, I'll just pass that around.
Did you drill the eyes on
I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Did you drill the eyes?
Yes, I did, yeah. And so, working a little more, elaborating on that, I made a little bigger copy and brought it into Callie so that she could see it and give her approval. And this, of course, this is mahogany, that was just a piece of walnut. She said that was fine, and if we could make 40 of those, I said, well, it's not going to be that big, because that's really, 3 inches, that's a pretty big chunk of wood, and it's also a little bigger than most people want to have, just as
That's
a...
natural Hootie size.
Yeah, that's actually probably bigger than Hootie.
Sure,
I'm sure it weighs
more.
100 times more. So I settled on using a 2-inch piece of wood and just progressed with different designs and a little more elaboration. I came up with something that I kind of liked, and I tried putting contrasting wood, just gluing a piece of contrasting wood on.
Segmented.
Exactly. And I knew you would know right away how that oval got in there. And that's just a piece of holly glued on the outside of the mahogany. But I actually preferred the simpler design. There's nothing wrong with that. I liked the more abstract design. And when I started putting eyes in, that's just a piece of walnut. And we'll talk about how to do that as well today. And, just more and more of the same thing. This one is the latest one. This is just a practice piece for this meeting. This is actually silver maple. So the plan here is to make 40 of these, and I don't want to make all 40 myself, so I'm going to challenge you to help. I got enough of this maple to send a piece home with each of you. And I'd like you to make a try at this and bring it back to our May meeting. I'm still probably going to end up making 40 of these, but
That's a guarantee.
that's the challenge for the May meeting, and we're going to talk about how to make this today. This is a multi-axis turning. It's a really simple multi-axis turning in that it all pivots around the base. So it's a good place to start if you want to learn multi-axis turning. So the first thing to do, of course, is to lay out your piece. And this is the layout. Gene? Jeff? We start, of course, by locating the center. And because this is an offset turning, it doesn't really have to be the exact center. This piece of wood is not exactly square. And it's not 90 degrees on the corners.
What is it, about 5 inches by 2 inches?
Yeah, it is. These originally came as 12-inch blanks from Craft Supplies. And after I ordered them, I thought, oh my God, I hope that they don't send me 2-inch by 2-inch pieces like you get 2 by 2 at Home Depot or Lowe's, where it's actually only 1.5 inches. When I got them, I was pleasantly surprised to find that most of them were actually over 2 inches. in width and depth. So I'm just using an awl to make a hole right there at the intersection of those two lines. And that's just to make it easier to locate the center on the lathe. Now, if you're going to do this, you should sand the outside of this piece before you start, because these flats are going to be part of the finished owl. And it's a lot easier to do right now than after you've got most of the flat gone.
The pieces you gave us aren't sanded?
Are you kidding?
Are they marked? Or are we gonna have to mark them?
You're going to have to mark them yourself.
So,
Oh my
are you
gosh.
going to give us the,
I'm going to tell you how to lay this out.
okay, just asking.
Yeah, we'll bring it to
And
your house.
I also have a write-up on this, which doesn't include, where did I put it?
Can you scan it and attach it to an email?
It's a PDF, so actually right now it's a doc.
So I don't even have to write any of this here.
You don't?
Almost makes it,
Unfortunately, my printer's out of ink, or I'd have printed 30 of these to bring in. Now maybe 20. So I'll be sending this out to Gene and to the club.
You put it online, so we just...
And I was hoping Mike was going to be here. I'm going to send it to Mike so that he can put it on our
If there's a
our
NASCAR
webpage.
thing going on, Mike ain't gonna be here.
NASCAR is sports car.
Huh?
Sports cars.
Any kind of car. You should have been in Daytona every week in the Sebring.
Yeah. So sand the outside first, so that it's because that's the easiest way to do it. And you know, the ones that I've actually sanded, I did on my belt sander just because it's easy. If you can do it by hand, it's not a big deal. If you get one of these pieces, some of them are hard maple, and they're a little rough sawn with a pretty coarse bandsaw. You might want to run through a table saw first, just to get them.
Table saw, as long as a table saw is not a table. Besides the second one.
I should have done that the other way around. Oh. We'll make this end up here, going to be the head end. So I'm going to put it in at the tailstock end, or I mean headstock end. Tailstock goes at the foot of your bird.
So you only drew the two center points?
Yes. Now I'm going to do the rest because it's nicely held here and you'll all be able to see what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a mark here, a ½ inch from the foot. I'll mark at 3 inches, and a mark at 4 5/8. This is
So is it
this
three-
is 1 centimeter. Those dimensions have worked out pretty well for these birds. No, you're not.
being paid in the ass.
And I'm going to mark it all the way around here because it'll be easier for you to see during the demonstration. But, you know, obviously any kind of a mark that you can see while it's turning will be sufficient.
You don't have a storyboard for us?
I do not. Like I said, I've laid this all out on the computer, but I was out of ink, or I'd have just brought you all printouts.
Just PDF it.
He did.
Oh, well, I tried, but my PDF printer's off, so I'm going to take it to work and use the PDF printer there. My Windows XP computer is getting old, and
Take a picture of your computer screen, put your phone and send it out.
What format, do you have it in Word or something?
it's in Word right now. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it's in Publisher right now,
I-
which nobody
I've
but
got-
you and I have Publisher.
Yeah, well, I have a publisher, if you want me to turn it into a PDF, I will. Just send it to me. And then I'll mail it to
This,
the member list.
okay. The mark at the tailstock end is going to be the width of my actual tenon that I'm going to grasp in the chuck. The mark at 3 inches is the bottom of the head of my bird, and the mark up here is the top of the head.
Why put it in a Jacob's chuck?
Why do I have it in a Jacobs chuck? Because I'm using something similar to a steb center that I personally own. It just
You
is
don't
a,
understand it, though.
I don't own a steb center.
Yeah.
This was given to me by Archie McAllister. Maybe Lauren remembers Archie. There are not very many people here who remembers when Archie was a member. But Archie was McAllister, you can imagine, Scottish and just as cheap as I am.
Okay, so when,
So rather than actually buy a steb center, I'm using this thing.
so when Mark's here, he's gonna demonstrate making a step center out of wood with a nail.
Okay. Now, this could all be done with a spindle gouge. I'm going to do some of it with a skew because it's nice to make a nice cut to make the transition from square to round. It's the easiest way I know of to avoid chipping out the wood on the square side when you're making the round right next to it. So,
Essentially, you're just doing a pommel, right?
yeah, I'm going to do a pommel cut. Yes, exactly.
For the purist, yes, a pommel cut.
And that's what it says in my printout too. So, Jimmy Clues speed here. If I really worked at this, I could stretch this out for a whole hour. This project really doesn't take very long at all.
Good, then you don't have to spend
Oh,
2
you
weeks to
brought-
make 40 of them.
Are you staying?
No, I can't. Oh,
Mulberry? You are the best, Edison. Thank you. I can't believe it. She wrote that she wouldn't be able to come to the meet and eat picnic, and I told her I was going to really miss her mulberry pie. Said she'd see what she could do. I can't believe she came in just for that. So I'm going to turn this down. This chuck. I'm going to use this chuck, which is not mine, to actually hold this in the lathe. I don't know what size. Yeah. So 1 3/4. We'll tighten it down and still leave a gap of about 1/4 inch. So we go for 1 3/4 inches. I know that this is about 2 inches, so I'm going to go about 1/4 inch past that. Normally when we're making a tenon to fit a dovetail chuck, we're going to want to make the tenon the exact same shape as the dovetail if possible, so that we get a nice strong firm hold all the way up the jaws. And normally we would also make the tenon to fit the jaws when the chuck is nearly closed, so that the tenon is as close to round and the jaws are as close to round as possible. Now throw all that out the window for this project, because we're going to use this chuck like a ball to locate the base of the bird. We want to be able to move it in the chuck. So that's the basis of our tenon there. We're going to clear away some wood. Behind my tenon. Now I'm going to make my tenon into a beam. Roll the tool as you advance the gout. And this is what we're aiming for. Got a round bead here that we're going to grasp in our chuck. And I'm just going to hollow out the base a little bit so when it sits on the table, we won't have any wood interfering with it. And also, if we hollow that out a little bit, it makes it easier to take that little nub off when we're done, because there's less wood to remove. That's the base. I'm going to make the pommel cut that we described. This is the transition from the square part of the head to the round part of the body. So I want to make a nice cut into here that will not chip out the wood on this side, and the best way to do that is to use the sharpest, pointiest tool possible. Again, you can do this with a gouge. I find it to be easier with a skew. And I don't want to go straight in with a skew, because if I do, I've got this angle that's going to want to bruise the wood or push it aside on the left side where I'm trying to preserve it. So I'm going to go in so that I don't know if you can see that, so that the bevel on my head side of the skew is perpendicular to the center line or straight along that line that I cut for the head. So, do that. Now as you do that, the skew will have a tendency to push in the direction of the bevel, so I need to start a little bit behind that. So I start over on the body side, lift up the handle, ride the bevel down into the groove that I made, and I come back to the head side and I square that off. I'm going to take that in until I've got a ring all the way around the body of the bird, so that it will define the head when it's finished. Got a little more to go yet. Yeah, just a little bit, because this thing's not exactly square and not exactly centered. Make that last cut so that it produces a fairly decent surface on both sides, because it's going to be really hard to get in there later on to define this, because of the sharpness of that point. It's hard to get in there with the gouge to clean that up. So it's also a little hard to get in there with a piece of sandpaper. I'm going to call this good enough for demonstration purposes. Now we're going to make a bead. And like I said, if I really stretch this, I can make this take an hour. We're going to make a bead out of the body. It's going to be centered about right here. The short slope is going to come this way and the long one down to the foot. like all interrupted turning, this is a lot easier if the lathe is going fast. Just like a natural edge vessel. Be really careful here when you're making this cut that you don't hit the square part of the head with the fluid to gouge. Also, again, like any interrupted turning, slow movements along the length of the piece will produce a much better finish and require less standing than pushing quickly down the length of the part. This is an eyeball thing. You need to decide how big you want these flats to be. And again, because this thing's not square or not exactly centered, they're going to be slightly different one from another. We need to decide which side of this we want to be the head or be the face.
Have you done anything with the body entirely round?
No. So I like the
It'd be too small.
well, you'd have to start with a bigger piece of wood, and then you have a hard time having the flats for the face, because the flats are the same surface as what I call the wings, the two on the front side of the body. We're going to turn the back of this more, so what we really are looking for is whatever we decide to be the face side, which I'm going to call it this side right here. We want that to be an appropriate size for our bird. Always cutting downhill. Somebody did I say I was going to make the face? We'll call that one. It looks rougher than it is because it actually has a little bit of quilting in there. Yeah, you want to go ahead and pass that one around, Carl?
There's a little bit of what?
That's
Quilting in the wood. It's quilted, you know, the figure in the wood. So it looks like it's really rough there, but it's not. It's a little rough, but that's fine. So, that part done.
If you understand it, you do it now.
I do it later, actually. Yeah, and I'm not going to sand it on the lathe. I would not do that.
Oh, okay.
It's really easy because there's so little flat surface on this when you're done to just sand with the grain with a little piece like that. I mean, and it just cleans right up right away because there just isn't that much wood there to sand. Any questions so far? This is not my chuck. This is one that Bruce brought in. Because I don't have a chuck to fit this lathe.
Either they don't have any questions or they don't give a hoot.
Okay, so I'm going to put this.
Something's never changed.
That's true.
I'm going to put it into the chuck, and you notice that the jaws are not coming right together. And I'm trying to orient this so that the corners are about in the middle of my chuck jaws.
Does that bottom out in the truck?
It is right now. We use the tailstock just to locate the center.
And you didn't mark any offset yet, did you?
No. And I'm going to reef this down. It's putting marks into the wood, yes. And you know what? They look just like the claws of the bird.
All right, now there's some claws in there.
So I don't have to carve it. So, because this is soft wood, I'm going to wait a minute, let it relax a little bit, then I'm going to retighten it because I just don't want it to come out. And I don't know if it really makes a difference if you tighten all the different positions. It shouldn't because it's just one scroll in there, but
Everybody does it.
yeah.
That's what they say.
Take this. Yeah, it's got to swing out. It's hard to get back on there. We need to adjust the nut on that. This is the next step. I'm going to hollow out the head here. Try and get rid of this mark that was left by our center. This is scary,
Yeah.
but it's like everything else we hold in the chuck. I mean, it's on center, it's not going anywhere.
You're not putting a lot of side work on it anyway, right?
No, really, these are shallow cuts.
And that comment comes from a guy who turns pieces
Yeah, they're all
with a lot of
glued
little
together.
pieces glued together, and you're scared of this?
And this is end grain owling, but not very much of it. We're just making a little bit of a dome on the end of this piece. Mostly just trying to get rid of that mark that was left by the center.